Hi, y'alls. Just want to make sure folks are in the right space. So just letting you know, this is not going to be a Lucala live. There are some Lucala lives going on right now that might be more your cup of tea. But if you are here for Outlander, this is what this particular live is about. Hey, Empress. So just FYI, because I don't know, do y'all ever see the title of the lives, or does it just tell you there's a live? Like, does it ever say what the title of the live is? Hey, Tam. Can people confirm to me whether or not you ever see a title? Because I just want to make sure people know that this is an Outlander one and not Lucala. Okay, Empress said the title showed up. Awesome. Hey, Ronnie, are you okay for me, like, adding you as a person on here to talk about Outlander with me? Okay, awesome. Because you have far more. Okay, awesome. Because you have far more knowledge about this stuff than I. So that's the thing.
Hello.
Hey. Before we actually jump into talking about the first two episodes of Outlander that I watched literally just this morning.
Yeah.
When
Oh, it's super fresh.
yesterday, I was so exhausted. I was zonked out. I mean, people who watch my story know this. I got zonked out at 6:42 p.m. I just know because of my Whoop. It tells me. And then I woke up at 1 and then never went back to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, fair.
But I got lost in the sauce. But eventually I did watch Outlander. But I wanted to ask folks, because again, this is Outlander, this is not Lucala. There are Lucala lives I know that are going on right now. So if that is more your cup of tea, that there are ones going on right now. But I had just wanted to ask folks that are here for Outlander, like, what made you want to check out Outlander if this is your rewatch? I mean, not rewatch, actually your rewatch, like if you, or watch, whether you watched it or rewatched it, I guess. Like, what made you want to look into it? Because I will say this, I will always hear Outlander, Outlander, Outlander whenever I'm talking to Bridgerton fans. And so I'm like, what is it about Outlander that has like drawn people? And so I just wanted to know that answer. And then we can talk a little bit about the episodes, and maybe Ronnie will give insight that I definitely know that I do not have. But hey, Tanya.
I was wondering too if maybe you wanted to poll to see how many people are actually first time watchers versus
Oh, I like it. Let me do that. Let's see. Doo-doo-doo. Actually, I'll just do a regular poll that I used to do, the quick poll. So put a smiley face if it's your first watch, and a crying face if it is a rewatch. Right? Is that? So smiley face first watch, crying face rewatch. Okay. Well, it's pretty even. Okay, first watch right now.
Nice.
Okay, first watch. Okay, so it's pretty split.
That's cool.
That is cool. Okay. So for me, I would be adding mine with a red, saying this is my first watch, and it's still gonna split up because you are a rewatch. So but yeah, so to me, the reason I checked out Outlander is simply because everybody kept telling me, "Hey, Eden," everybody kept telling me about it, and so I felt like, okay, if everybody loves this so much, I got to give it at least a shot, right? Because there seems to be an overlap between Bridgerton fans and Outlander fans. So how about you, Ronnie? What made you even check it out before?
Hilariously, I think it came. I can't remember when the first, like the year it came out. It might have been like 2012. I can't remember, but I remember I watched the first.
Shelton said 2014.
Oh, is that when the first one came out? Okay, that sounds
And
right.
also, hi, Kate.
Yeah, so it must have been okay. So it's 2014. Okay, so then I watched it when it premiered on Stars because it was getting like quite a bit of promos.
Mm.
And it looked intriguing, and the cinematography looked beautiful, and I'm obsessed with Scotland, so I was like, it's like in. Um, I only made it like I think like 4 episodes, and I didn't watch it until 2020.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's a long pause.
Yeah. I had brushed it off. I was just like, it's too slow. I can't get into it. I thought it felt a little hokey. I hadn't read any
Mm-hmm.
of the books, so
Mm-hmm.
but I was also heavily consuming Game of Thrones at the time,
Mm.
and so like I was just kind of invested in that, and so I couldn't get into it at the time, and then the pandemic got me,
Yeah.
and I actually ended up watching it fully because a good friend of mine, Lizzie. Was watching it, and she did like a whole overview on it, just commenting on some reels that she was doing on Instagram, and she got
Mm.
me intrigued, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll sit through it again and I'll see if I can get through it. And I got through it, and I was like, yep, okay, I'm in.
Well, I mean, that's a good commentary though, Ronnie, because it's like it lets people know that if they feel like the first four is slow, that it doesn't mean like it's gonna be representative of the rest of the seasons.
Yeah, no, it's try to stick it out at least past 5, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least past five. Well, hopefully more then, because I'm like I feel like how long is it gonna take me, especially if it's 2 episodes a week, to like get through all of these shows? Because how long
6.
did it take you to get 2020?
uh
In 2020, I mean, like how long did it take?
Oh, for
How
me
many
to,
were you
well, I
putting in?
binged it. I binged
Oh,
it because we were locked down. I didn't have anything to do, so I
yeah.
just yeah I just went through everything that was available until 2020.
You, me, been me. I did watch it in 1.25 speed only because I put it on 1.5 speed and I was like, actually, it's too fast for me to have it at 1.5, but it was too slow for me at one. So 1.25 was my. Is it freezing for K Girl? Said it's freezing. Is it freezing for anyone else, or is that just K Girl?
It may be
Sometimes it's just sometimes I get stuff for you that's freezing, K Girl. So it might be you, but I'm
yeah.
hoping. Okay. All right. So so I started writing stuff. Okay, perfect. People are confirming that nobody else is experiencing any freezing. So I was like, okay, what are we going to talk about in the first one? So I started writing things. So I'm like, I guess all of these things are going to be important.
Mhm.
And I don't know, and I don't know if there's a spoiler alert because I don't know if it means something later in the seasons. But is there going to be an importance at all about a vase later in the seasons or not? Are they ever going to come back to the vase? Commentary on the vase? I mean,
There's
you don't have to.
I'm not going to spoil anything. I
Okay.
promise I'm not going to spoil anything because I don't want to get into too many details. But I can say that there's an acknowledgement of said
Okay.
base, but it's not dwelled upon.
Okay. So even though
There's
it
too much
seemed to be
afoot.
like an important sentiment in the beginning of the season, like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have anything major later on because
No.
there are how many seasons in. So I just was wondering. The other
There's
thing I
a,
was wondering. I
well,
mean, the
honestly,
other thing I noticed.
I don't even
Oh,
think they nod to it until many seasons later.
I wonder if they forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, this was repeated a few, like at least twice in this episode, and she was so longingly looking at this vase or vase or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, there has to be some significance to this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other thing that I knew, like, because I would say that both her Claire and then Jamie both do these things with their faces. So like when she walked into that castle for the first time or not the first time, whichever way you would like to talk about it,
Mhm.
like you could tell that we were supposed to feel that she's been there before.
Mhm.
that she felt a familiarity to that room, which obviously by the second episode we know why she has a familiarity to that room. But like
Mhm.
that, like she did a little look in the, it was a deep sigh, and I wrote deep sigh and a look of like, I've been here. Like, why does this feel familiar to me? And then, so I don't know if there is any familiarity for Jamie, and I don't know if there's a spoiler here or not. But here, I just want to ask you if I'm picking up on something or if I'm just reading way too much into facial expressions.
Mhm.
But Jamie saves a a girl from getting like a punishment, and he takes the punches in the
His
second
sister.
episode. What? No,
His
no, no,
sister.
not that one. Not the
Oh.
sister. Late in the later on, it's like the
Oh, yes.
granddaughter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
she asks him why he did that. Like what was the importance
Mhm.
of that? Like who was she? And he said, "Oh, she's not like anybody important necessarily. Like it's like he's just a good dude, helping out." um but then she comes to visit him to and the premise seems to be like to thank him for taking the punches.
Mhm.
But the thing is, he does a look that made me wonder, is he lying? Did he know her? Like, was there more of a significant relationship between the granddaughter and him? If not, then like, okay, but like, am I reading too much into the like look?
I
Was there
mean,
anything?
I think it's good that you're noticing little things like this, but I think for now it's not as big of a deal as it might seem to be.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was just wondering.
Yeah. She does
Um,
she is in the mix. I'm trying to not be spoilery, guys. So like
okay, okay.
try not to go too
Wait,
far into the
but see here,
story.
here's the thing. I know I'm putting you on a spot here, but it's like at the same time, are you giving a spoiler when I'm going? I feel like he's giving hints, like through his face, that he's not telling the full truth just because of how it ends. Like they
I don't think
end it at that look almost.
Yeah, I don't think it's spoilery because I'll tell you what, Katrina and Sam who play Jamie and Claire are very expressive. And
Mm-hmm.
so if they're giving a look, if they're making any sort of expression, it means something.
Okay,
So
that's what I was feeling.
yeah.
That's what I was feeling because um that's why I wrote these down. I was like because see, here's the thing, and not to bring it back to Lucilla or anything, or I mean, or to that, but that is one of the things I love about Luke is that his eyes say so much in such a brief moment, and I feel this very heavily with um the Claire and Jamie, their
Yeah.
characters.
It's a lot of
Um,
that. It's a lot of that.
yeah, yeah. So and folks, I'm like hopefully, I don't know if there's things I gotta make sure that I'm not. Oh, okay, Karen was like, oh, that she has a crush on him. Oh, okay, um, trying to make Claire jealous. I think Karen was thinking. Okay, but people say that she does have a
Yeah, she
part.
does play.
They're saying that she had a crush on him, but did she have a crush on him pre him doing that? Because I'd have a crush on him after, for sure. Like, oh, damsel in distress, but no, not really. But
Yes. I
yeah,
can say
yeah.
yes.
um, and Shelton said it's so hard not to say too much. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, new me bin me said I think she likes him because the camera went to her when he walked out. Like yeah, there was like the way they chose to end the scene, the way they chose to put her face, his face. It was like read in between the lines kind of situation for me.
Longing.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Pamela gave me a little hint here ever since she was young. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, another thing I noticed was there was things that they talked about, and I'm like, will these things come back up?
Okay.
And Saint Audrun or something, the earth went over his eyes. He had been buried alive. It was just a folklore, or was that just setting up the whole like idea of is it Inverness or whatever, being a hotbed of paganism? Was it just in like tied to that whole lore thing, or does it come back anywhere?
I gotta say that there is a lot of the writers, particularly in the first few seasons, love a metaphor.
Okay.
And so a lot of times they use a lot of, in this particular case, I think it's more building up kind of like the folklore and everything that kind of builds around the explanation with the magical aspect, the fantasy aspect of the story, and how all of that gets incorporated into it. But I think it's good to pay attention to any of the historical stuff that kind of pops on, to just give some more reference to where you're at, particularly later on in the show when we're bouncing back and forth. So
Okay. This is good to
yeah.
know. I also made like note of the fact that Claire said that Frank was into genealogy, especially his own. And then I was like, dang, you had a like sketchy ancestor. But then Claire was botany, and then I'm like, and that like leads into that first episode of like her looking at the flowers and the whole thing. But I was like, dang, her husband did a lot, because she's like, he's kind of an historian, but he's also going to go to he's going to be a teacher in Oxford. But then he also oversaw spies, and I was like, damn, what? How many things did this guy do?
He was Frank was a big deal. I mean, Frank is solid.
Yeah. And so here's the thing too. So that I also made note of the intimacy scenes, because I said very interesting to me
Yeah.
that I said the first intimacy scene they chose not to show.
Yeah.
They just, and I love the little like hint, like what was her name? Mrs. Who was
Oh, the innkeeper.
Mrs. Graham, right? So she ends up talking. She ends up giving them the room or whatever, and they're jumping up and down in the bed, and she's like looking at like, and then they switch it to rhythmic, like a rhythmic sound, right? And but they give you the hint, right? Like when you're talking about like the focus on like the outfits and like, but there was nothing shown. It was like very brief. Then it was done, and that was like the first hint of an intimacy scene. And so I thought, okay, they're wanting, like, I was like, do they want the intimacy scene to that matters, like, or the ones that's prolonged? What's gonna trigger that? Um, so then the second one was at the castle, where there's an intimacy scene, and also very brief. But
Yeah.
the one that was prolonged was when he accused her of unfaithfulness. And when here's the thing too, when he's like, even if you did, I would forgive you because I love you so much. I mean, a part of me, I mean, I don't want to think this, but a part of me is like, did you cheat? Like, I mean, I was like, did you cheat? Because I mean, the fact that you're like, it's okay if you did, it's fine. And it made me feel like it was, I mean, I'm not saying he did, but I'm just saying it made me wonder at that moment if he had, because he was so quick to say, I'm just saying that even if you did, I would be okay with it. I mean, like, not okay with it, but like, I'd forgive you kind of situation.
I think the difficulty with because there's a lot of ambiguity in this show, Phoebes. So I'm going to tell you that now.
Okay.
But I think something in that particular conversation that you need to take into account is that it was during a time of war. They were separated for a very, very long time.
5 years.
Yeah, and it like I think he's just setting that up for that exception because of the unmistakable world crisis that was going on at the time. But I don't think we ever really know if he did or not.
Okay.
I can't remember. But obviously all of that conversation is also a setup. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing too, right? She says that sex is a bridge for them to get back together. Like, whatever the situation or circumstance or whatever happens, that they come back to that, which I thought was interesting. But because then there's two things that tie up together for me was like, he comments on like how he loves to trace her hand, right? He talked about loving to trace her hand, and then I was like, I then later on in the episode, Miss Graham is looking at her hand and talks about the fork. It's not broken; it's a fork instead. And usually, I see two marriages, but I don't see a breakage. I see a fork.
Right.
So I was thinking of him like tracing that particular hand, and at the same time, Miss Graham's like having a prophetic moment of saying like, there seems to be two marriages at the same time, kind of situation.
Quite poetic, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it made me sad actually because it's like
Yeah.
he's touching her hand and yet it's like, yeah, it's I don't know what the word is, but yeah. So I felt that was very poetic. I there's so many things I was thinking throughout it and just trying to figure out like, what does this matter? How does this matter? Yeah, but 5 years apart, 10 days only that they saw each other during that time. And
Can I make a comment real quick? Because Lady Sharia is saying, I liked that he was allowed to touch and kiss her in areas I didn't know was allowed. I need everyone to remember that when this show first aired, intimacy coordinators were not a thing yet. They didn't have an intimacy coordinator on that set. So all I want y'all to recognize that I think probably like the first 4 or 5 seasons, there was no intimacy coordinator on set. All the intimacy scenes were a conversation between actors and were highly driven by the producers and the director.
Do you think that they would have made different, would any of them have made different decisions, do you think?
I think that Sam
Based
and
on
Katrina
later
have
seasons?
developed. Well, Sam and Katrina have spoken about once they incorporated an intimacy coordinator and how much easier it was for them to broach those conversations because it made it less awkward. But they had already developed, they'd been working together for 5 million years. They've already basically developed a system, But what I think it helped is that it cut the 5 other million people that were trying to have an opinion on it. Because unfortunately, you get too many people in the room talking about it, and some people have too much of an opinion of wanting to see certain things, and it's just like, this isn't your personal magazine.
Yeah.
Why are you even proposing this? This is why intimacy coordinators are important. Because that's their job and that's their focus, and it's supposed to make the talent comfortable. And so I think that's what was difficult about the first part of Outlander. So
That's good background that I would not have known. Henceforth, the reason I'm glad you're here, aside from a lot of things that you're giving me insight to as I ask questions. So thank you for that. Like, okay, then, and then I laughed. I don't know why I laughed because I'm a child, but when he was like, oh, like he pointed to the mountain or whatever, and he's like, that's Cocknaman rock or whatever. I don't know why I thought, and when they said that, I'm like, I bet you there's an intimacy scene there. Like, that's what I thought when he said the name of it, but that's what I thought. But and I mean, isn't that where the castle is? But I don't know, maybe not. But no, I did. Oh, it's not. But and how do you say the castle's name again? Castle Loch? Leoch? Leoch? Castle what again? I heard it, but I already forgot how to say it.
Is it Leon? I think it's Leon. I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. That sounded way more fancy than my tongue can do.
I'm so bad with like the place names, but I'll try to remember for next time. Leoch?
Oh, Leoch. Leoch.
Thank you. Leoch, yeah.
Okay, Leoch. Castle Leoch. So it said the ancestral home of the Lord of the Mackenzie clan until midway through 19th century. That's what, her hubby said. What's her hubby's name? Again, Randall's last name. Frank. That's right, Frank. And what was it? And then when he sees who I assume is Jamie, right? Looking in the window and goes to approach him and he disappears. I mean, I'm guessing it's Jamie. Okay, maybe not Jamie by your face. I don't know.
We don't know. yet.
Okay. Because that's creepy if it's not Jamie.
I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all are watching this for the first time and you're expecting an answer for that, we're still waiting for an answer for that.
Oh, there's no answer?
No, we're 8
Oh.
seasons in. We still don't have an
Well,
answer.
I mean, so the assumption shouldn't be Jamie? Or here's the thing though. There's a part of me, I know that we're just in the second episode, and I don't know why I think this. There's a part of me that feels like that Dougal guy is into her. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's the only reason why I feel like why would there be a question of who it'd be? Unless there's some sort of love triangle or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that guy likes him. I mean, likes her, but I don't know his age.
You hang on to all of this. You hang on to all of this.
But then I think isn't he the uncle?
He is, yeah.
Which again makes me feel like there's a scene when he starts to get beat up for like protecting the granddaughter of Mrs. Fitzgibbons. Like I don't know the friend that came over and said something. I forgot what he said. I didn't write it down. But it gave me a feeling like he was saying to him, like, Dougal has other reasons for why he wants to do this to you. Mm-hmm. And also because he was so upset when he heard that she was leaving. So I'm just feeling like all this stuff with him. Mm-hmm. That I'm just like, I feel like you're wanting in, you know?
Hang on to that.
Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So then they witnessed that ritual by the stone. I'm going back to the first episode. They witnessed the ritual by the stone formations, and they watched until the sun came up. Okay, but and then she went back to the same place without her husband to figure out what the purple flower was. And and it's interesting. Is the purple flower like the way that the woman who ends up talking to her, I forget what her name is. Wait, no, I think I wrote it down. Giles, Giles, Duncan, Gills, whatever. She's, I don't know if she's important. Gillis, yeah. I don't know if she's important, but she seems really nice. So I feel like she would be a buddy kind of person, like a best friend person. Hopefully she's not a backstabber, but she seemed nice. But she talks about how like, oh no, the face, maybe not.
No, don't ignore my face. Ignore my face. There's a journey.
Oh,
there's
Galen.
a journey.
Okay.
There's a journey.
The what?
There's a journey.
There's a journey. Okay. Yeah. Because I do remember her, like the way she described the flower. Mm-hmm. Was it used as kind of like a plan B of those days or what?
Yeah. I think that was like the general description. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was getting a sentiment of, which then makes me go like, you're telling us this probably for a reason. I mean, I don't know if it is, but it feels like a hint to something in the future. Maybe wrong. No, not really. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I see that whenever you have a hesitation, then I know that there's some truth to what I'm saying. But when there's like, oh no, then I'm like, hey.
There's also, I think it's helpful too that I'm watching this at the same pace as you because there's a lot of things that I don't remember because it's been a while since I've rewatched the show. So
Tanya said, LOL, Ronnie should have camera off so Phoebe won't read your face. I'm kidding. Well, you know what? That's the thing though, Tanya. Like I am trying to read everybody's face, like on the show.
Yeah.
And on because if you're a really great actor, it's those small, like micro expressions that are conveying so much. And so I obviously I'm like in the beginning 2 episodes, so I don't know all their nuances yet. So sometimes when you don't know a person's nuance yet, you kind of project kind of a little bit of like what that face would mean to you until you learn a little bit later that maybe, okay, now I've gotten a little bit more understanding of this character that now looking back, those facial expressions wouldn't mean the same thing to me because now I understand the character more. But this is like knee-jerk reaction first 2 episodes of how like I'm feeling. But
I can tell you that you're doing very, very well, and I can tell you that everyone involved in the first season, and then once we get into the other ones, I can say that for the first season, confidently, everyone has nuance. So pay attention to everything going on.
okay, well, I love nuance. I have loved nuance.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
Pamela said, I've watched each season at least 20 times. Wow. There's a lot of seasons I've heard. If not more, I'm rewatching with you. That's amazing, Pamela. And thank you for rewatching with me. And I apologize if there's other comments that I'm missing along the way, but please continue to chat with each other, even if I happen to miss it. Okay. Then I said she goes back to try to see what that purple flower was. I said, the thing that stood out to me when they did that whole thing when she goes back to the purple flower is they really made the purple so deep in color in comparison to everything else on the screen. Like they almost grayed everything out, including her. Like the scenery was great. Everything was great except these purple flowers were just popping purple. And that stood out to me. And then I was like, I didn't know if it was some sort of wind, but it was some sort of thing that like makes her go to this rock, touch this rock, and then she gets transported. And then second episode starts. She wakes up and she's she walks around confused. And I said, the silence is broken by the sounds of gunshots. And so, buzzing. That's a great description of it. I was trying to say what the word was because I was like, it wasn't a wind, but yeah, it was a buzzing.
Yeah,
that's from Kello B1.
Remember that sound.
The what?
Remember that sound.
Oh. Okay, I will try to remember, even though I poorly described it a second ago. Was it in From the Rocks, Karen? Oh, okay. She hears buzzing from rocks. Okay, I didn't realize where no wonder she went to it. Okay, yeah. That helps me understand that moment more because I was like, what made her come? Because I guess I was thinking it was like some sort of wind, but buzzing makes sense. So she was going to where the sound of the buzz was. Okay, because I'm really like I have the worst sense of direction of like where something's like sound wise coming from, so I would probably have walked the opposite direction. No, I would not have been transported. But then I said she meets her husband's ancestor, Jonathan Randall, Esquire, captain of His Majesty's 8th Dragoons. It's Dragoons. And then who tried to, I guess we can't say the word there, but then gets rescued by, I think it was Murtaugh. Okay, so Murtaugh brings her to where all these folks are chilling, and this is when she first meets Jamie, and she needs to fix his arm, and I'm like, he's so attractive. He's an attractive man. He's got very illegal arms, very, very illegal arms.
You got a lot of illegal
arms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he just seemed like a sweet person. Oh, Kellogg once said, you have no idea of the illegal arms.
He's not ready.
Kristen said, I love the combination of first watch and rewatch with you two. Oh, yeah, me too. Because it really, think about it. It's like a mix, that's the group too. It's an even mix of first watch and rewatch. And so this helps a lot. I wrote about Dougal. And then he talks about a little bit of why he was wanted or something. Well, she want, but I mean the different kind of wanted. Oh yeah, the way Lady Cherie said the way he looked at her after she fixed his arm. Yeah, I know, right? And then Tanya said he's attractive. Plus, I love a nice Scottish accent. Shelton said met the man who her husband just happened to discuss before she went through the rocks. Yes, that's true. That's true. I mean, I'm the fact that he looks exactly like. Just kidding. I get that you have to use him more, but come on. But Karen says, and the flashback of why he's wanted. Yeah. Yes. And so, yes. So then he was flogged for obstruction for trying to save his sister. Named Jenny, right? And
Jenny.
he was getting flogged, and he's like, even if they put a knife to my throat, like, don't go in, like, don't go, And then he pretends to put the knife and then just hits him. And then so the sister goes. Like, they both, I mean, it's a loving sibling relationship, I suppose, in the sense of, like, they want to both protect each other.
Yeah.
And then he talked about, and I might have missed this a little bit, but he talked about he was charged for murder, but a murder that he didn't commit. And I was like, I don't know if I was like, what? Did they say more in that moment, or did I just miss it? Did he say more about that, or did he just leave it like that? Like, he didn't explain anything more, right, during that time?
I don't believe so. No, not
good.
in this particular case.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I was like, okay, cliffhanger. I don't like. So who did it?
There's a lot of that feeds where they just
Karen? But Shelton said you'll find out later. Okay, so
yeah, you'll find out later. Like, because there's a little bit, but it's not like, yeah, you'll find out more later.
Okay, well, okay. So Pamela said not in this episode. Okay,
yeah.
All right. So, oh, yes. Okay, and also this first almost kiss. I said first almost kiss, and the intensity in that moment. When she says her husband is not alive, it was like, I don't know, and he goes to comfort her, but I'm like, that boy, I don't know yet, like, what he's feeling, what they're feeling, but there's definitely an attraction from the get-go. I felt from both of them, like a chemistry, like it's it's the thing that, like, they can't manufacture, they just have it. Spark. And yeah, that spark. And obviously she's trying to be faithful to her husband, who's in the future. And but there's this person, and when she starts crying about the fact that he's not alive, it's like, he's not alive yet. Hey, Mel.
I wanted to tell you, Karen did just say that, yes, he did. There was an officer shot. So I think that's the only thing that he mentioned.
Okay.
About that.
Okay, officer shot. Okay, that's good for me to remember. I don't know where my pen is. I'll just remember later to write that down. Officer shot. Okay. Vera, we're talking about Outlander. Because this is an Outlander watch, episodes 1 to 2. So people are either watching it for the first time or rewatching it.
Yeah. And if you're already familiar, don't drop any spoilers in the chat for anyone who hasn't watched it. Please.
Thanks. And Lady Cherie said I felt it right away. Yeah, like Mel says I just finished the two episodes. LOL. Great, Mel. Like, I literally also did it this moment. Tiffany said, okay, I'm stupid and watched Dawson's Creek 2 episodes. That's not, you're just ready. You're just ready, Tiffany. You're just ready for the September 30th. You're ready for it. You're prepared. And I'm so excited to talk about that one, because I've just been seeing a lot of Joshua Jackson. Shelton said Jamie has all the looks and body. And so, Mel, we have talked about so much already. We're actually on the second episode. But right now in the second episode, we're just talking about that first almost kiss, the intensity that you feel when she tells him that her husband is not alive. And he comforts her. And I mean, and it's a very true statement, right? It's like, he's not. He's not alive yet. He hasn't been born yet. So I don't know. I love almost kisses.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love the tension.
It's the tension, yeah.
In those almost kisses, because that commitment of, like, pulling back is just like,
Yep.
But you could see that she was always drawn, trying to find ways to see him again. You know, and when she like brings him, when he talks to her about like all the like the reason why he's a wanted person.
Mhm.
Like when she brings like because she wants to rebandage him and bring him food. Oh yeah, food because talks about grass. Another Luca, no, another Bridgerton Penelope reference.
Yeah.
Except he eats the grass.
Yes.
Not very filling, but he does it. Um, and then we meet Letitia, the wife of Lord Mackenzie, and then
Hmm.
Hamish, or is it Hamish or Hamish? The son.
Hmm.
And the thing that I'm wondering there as well. I know I'm saying that I feel like hold on, I need to unplug real quick, so I'm gonna so like I heard from whoops. I wish Marie was here, you know. Marie would love this. Um
Every time you do it, it's just every time you do it, I just want to be like, do you know the lesson, man?
It's what I use whenever I need to do something and I don't want y'all to see my background. Um but so here's the thing. I so she sees Dougal. That's how you know
Google, yeah.
playing with um I said it right the first. Sorry, what is it? Hamish.
Famous.
Playing with Hamish, right? And it was like so he's the uncle, right?
Yes.
Okay, because the way that this kid said no. I am their kid. Felt almost like obviously he's a little boy, but it felt almost like thou protesteth too much. You
Hmm.
know, it almost feels like you are not their kid. You are actually not their the next heir or whatever he said. Like I am the did this. It felt too like the delivery was so. You know when Nicola was having that interview and it's about Jamie Dornan, and then
Hmm.
she was like definitely not for Penelope. And she goes, "Oh wow, that sounded serious." And then she stopped. That's what it sounded like for this little boy. It sounded too much like he's not the kid of the two
Hmm.
people. That's what
Right.
I'm feeling.
I would hold
Also,
on to that.
so what?
I would hold on. I would hold on to that.
Yeah. So then, but then here's the thing. Like to me, it was like, does that mean like? Well, obviously, the wife would have cheated in my head, right? Because of what I think about how the kid said it. And I mean, and props to the kid in the way that the kid delivered
Oh yeah.
it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I feel like if the kid delivered those lines differently,
Right.
then I wouldn't have felt that way. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
wouldn't have even thought about it. Yeah. Yeah.
I would not have.
Right.
It was very much that doth protested too much, you know?
Hmm.
But the thing is, like, the part that I'm like wrestling with is, am I supposed to think it's Dougal's kid because he loved him so much and he was so playful with him, or is that like a red herring, and it's not really, he's not really the one. I don't know.
I would trust your instincts.
Okay. Well, my instincts on that one is up in the air.
Okay. Well, just keep an
Or
open. Just keep an open mind and keep that thought in your head.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Because yeah, wait, which thought? The thought that it could be either or. It could be Dougal, or it could be someone, or
The
he
thought
could
that
be
it
just a
could
red
be
herring.
Dougal. The thought that
Oh,
it could
okay.
be Dougal.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, definitely both were in my mind.
Hmm.
Well, because again, the way he played with him. But the
Hmm.
thing that here's the thing though that got me about it is the fact that I felt like, why did this kid respond this way? Like, does this kid know? Because I felt like a kid that doesn't know that's the situation wouldn't have responded that way. So it almost made me feel like, did this kid find out at one point, and like, did he overhear a conversation and now he's a little bit mad I don't know, but I was like, it was maybe again overthinking it. But I was just like, how did this kid know to say it this way to make me think what I thought?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's so young. Like, how would he have known? Unless he
Right.
again overheard the conversation, or sometimes kids are nosy. So,
I think you're doing very well. I think you're picking up on a lot of things, and I think definitely the actors and the way everything is set up is very intentional.
okay, well, good. I love this, but this is why I wrote notes, because I'm like, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'm gonna forget them because I forgetful. Let's see. Okay, then I think I've said everything else actually. Which like that only took 45 minutes. I didn't know how long these things should be. And also obviously when I did say it's an hour and a half, it was with 4 in mind rather than 2.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know. Maybe I should modify it. I don't know. But do you have anything that you want me or anybody in the chat might want to talk about in regards to the episode that I didn't talk about? That you were like, what about this? What about that?
I just want to call attention to show development wise things for everyone to consider while they're digesting it for the first time, or even if you're rewatching it and you haven't thought about these certain things. Did anyone really pay attention to the opening credits of Outlander?
Out of all the things, no, I did not. I actually even skipped it on the second episode because I was like, okay, so episode 3, I should make sure to watch the opening credits.
Yes.
Okay.
Do that.
Okay.
Do that for every season.
Oh, wait. Oh, does it change?
Yes.
Oh, so there's hints in there.
Similar to one of our favorite shows that we're all here for.
Okay. I didn't even realize this. I just thought it was going to be the same. So I just kind of moved.
Because that's what Bridgerton does.
Well,
it changes every
season. You mean
season.
The beginning before it says Bridgerton? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or wait, what? Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Opening credits.
The opening
Bridgerton
credits.
Always different?
Always has no one paid attention? Okay, the opening credits to Bridgerton every season.
Wait a minute, what?
Changes. The visuals in the tree
to what?
Changes thematically to every character season. Has no one noticed?
But it's the same thing every episode.
Yes, every
but
episode.
It's the same thing every episode, though, right?
Yes, every episode, every season. Within the season, every episode is the same. But every season, 1, 2, 3, they have 3 distinct opening credits. Season 1's opening credits.
Well, how about
this? From season 2, from season 3.
Okay. For Outlander, is the opening credits the same every episode? Or are you saying it changes every episode, or just changes every season?
Changes every season.
Am I paused here?
No. Are you not hearing me?
Hello?
Can you not hear me?
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
Now I said it changes every season. Every season. Not every episode, every season.
Okay. Tiffany's wanting to get in on this action. Okay, Tiffany, what did you need to say?
And the tree changes at the end of the credit for every episode. So if you didn't notice the tree gives you a hint what the episode will bring.
Wait a minute. So now you're talking about Bridgerton?
Yes.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Because
Yes,
I'm gonna be full disclosure. I did skip the opening credits of Outlander. I was just like I don't need to
go back
know
and
this.
watch it. Go back and watch it. You have to. Or at
There's
least
a tree in Outlander too?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the opening credits give
confused
you
in my head.
Easter eggs into what the season will bring.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Bridgerton, the credits stay the same throughout the season, but at the end, the tree that you see changes every episode. If you watch it carefully, it will tell you what the episode is going to look like. So
Interesting.
if the wind is blowing in it, it means there's a storm coming.
They
or
only did that
something.
for season 3. They didn't do that for
Yes,
season
yes,
1.
sorry. Just season 3. Yes. Yeah, sorry.
Interesting.
So
But the tree does change after every episode to let you
in
kind of
in season
know.
3, yes.
Yes, just in season 3. Just to
Yeah.
kind of give you a hint of what's about to come. But that's
Yeah.
Okay, so was this like Outlander inspired, do you think? Or just
Yes.
it's just
Yeah.
the thing people Oh, okay.
No, it was Outlander inspired.
Yeah, they took a
Outlander,
lot of stuff from Outlanders, actually.
yeah, Outlander itself, the opening
Ooh,
credits.
maybe that's what we can talk about, Ronnie, for this last portion.
Sure.
And Tiffany, if you want to as well, right? Is this whole thing of like in the first 2 episodes, were there anything that we saw that we're like, ooh, that does remind us? Well, I already did say stuff as I thought of things that reminded me of Bridgerton with it, but was there anything I missed? I mean, obviously, like the intimacy scenes.
We
I
haven't
think,
even
like-
gotten there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, like the how the unclothing usually, I mean, like undressing
Yeah.
usually happens, like the slowness, the tenderness.
Well,
We've
Yeah.
gotten hints of that so far with Frank, but it's not until later where
Yeah.
there's a direct copy paste, like I
Yes.
mentioned in my post
Yeah, like-
yesterday. There's
like-
there's literally a copy paste from the first season of Bridgerton to one of the intimacy scenes.
yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So
And
I will
Ronnie
know
said it
this
really
once I
good
see
the other
it.
day of when she said, like, they set the bar
Yeah.
for intimacy scenes.
Mm.
They started to push the boundary, right?
Well,
And Outlander.
considering there was no intimacy coordinator, yes,
Yep.
of course.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so Bridgerton just took it a little further.
Yeah.
I would say a little bit. I think there's some really good scenes in Outlander, though.
I mean, the scenes in Outlander are more raw and completely R-rated, so
Yes.
they're not. Yeah, they're not.
Full, raw, yeah.
Yeah, Bridgerton is a little bit more pulled back in the actual actions of it.
Mm.
But visually, I think Bridgerton is definitely inspired from Outlander for sure.
Yeah. And again, Outlander did not have a intimacy coordinator in the beginning, correct?
Correct, for like
Exactly.
many
So
seasons.
that might be why you see how raw it is, maybe,
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
not a lot of boundaries in that.
You
Well,
know,
it's
speaking
not
of
only-
raw, no,
It's not.
Don't get me started.
It's not only the boundaries, but Tiffany, I wasn't sure if you were in here when I was speaking on it first, but it's the fact that there. Not only is it the conversation between Sam and Kat to develop the dance that they have to do, but too much input from the directors and producers and so on and so forth, whatever kind of exec is in the back being a thirsty thing and giving their added pointers to it, which can inevitably make things uncomfortable for the talent whenever there's not an intimacy coordinator in the mix.
Yep.
So Kat has never particularly complained about things getting weird, but she did say she was grateful. They were both grateful once an intimacy coordinator was starting to get involved with the show.
Yeah.
It just makes it less awkward for them to have the conversation.
I think it
That's
helped
everyone
though
else.
too, because I feel like from the get-go, those two had such amazing chemistry and friendship.
Yep.
I mean, like, they really have an amazing bond
They do.
from the moment they met.
Right.
So I think maybe that's why she didn't. I'm sure she wanted to complain about a couple of those things, but I think maybe she felt comfortable enough with Sam because he's such a great partner.
Yeah, he took care of her.
Took care of her very well.
Yeah, he did. They did their best to make it work with whatever added pressure they were getting from.
Exactly, and I think he definitely tried to make it a safe environment for her, or
Okay,
tried to
I'm
protect her the
hearing-
best way he could. Sorry.
I'm so no, Tiffany. I was just like, I'm hearing like my connections to Bridgerton right now because these are all sentiments that both Luke and Nicola conveyed about each other. like
Yes,
how
but
they helped each other feel safe. Also, the whole raw statement, it just made me think of Adjoa, who said it
Yep.
yeah,
was raw and real,
yeah,
right? And then it made me think about that new article, or that article, recent article that talked about how they filmed episodes five's intimacy scene, and
Right.
how like they intentionally made it dark so that it could feel safer for them to engage in a way where it felt
real.
real.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
So, and I know that someone jokingly said earlier that like like can we get rid of the intimacy coordinator for Bridgerton? But the
no,
reality is Luke had said how important the intimacy coordinator was, simply because it's not only helping with the like scenes and all that stuff, but one of the things that Luke specifically talked about was that um the practice, or the thing that the intimacy coordinator does to help you get back to reality, because sometimes you
yes,
can get really immersed in your character and you can like confuse certain things, so it just gets you back into the headspace of like, that's Colin, this is Luke, that is Penelope, this is Nicola, like this is not the same, and so Luke very much said that was so important to him. Like he had said, we very much needed,
Right.
the
he did
intimacy
for sure.
coordinator.
I think he
Well,
needed
I mean,
it more.
they probably needed it just because of the amount of friendship that they had developed for so many years before they even had to do these types of scenes. For Sam and Kat, it was a typical sort of casting situation where, yes, they had an enormous amount of chemistry. Phoebe, I'll send you their casting video because it's actually quite darling.
Yeah,
Just to give you some background.
but they had to get into it. Like they didn't have that 5 years of friendship.
Yeah, they didn't have that 5-year build up or anything like that, but their chemistry is quite instinctual and pretty much right off the bat, everyone knew that was going to be it.
Yep.
And I think, I think the intimacy coordinator too. I think what's good about them is also it just gives them the authority to have the kind of ultimate bridge and direction for everyone, and to be like that second voice of this person's uncomfortable. We're not doing this. Because previously, a lot of people were forced into a lot of really awkward situations to make these scenes happen.
Yeah.
Before intimacy coordinators started to get involved.
Yeah. I mean, even even like I just watched Beetlejuice, but if you go watch interviews with Winona Ryder, like she literally was forced several times where men like
Made out with her.
threw their tongue down her throat, and there was like nothing she could do. She had nobody to say like don't do that, or nobody to help her in those situations, and like she literally felt so violated. That's just one instance.
Yeah.
But you can
That's
find
that's every woman in the industry for that matter. So
you can find like a million of them though. But like again, Outlanders was a very, very popular book. I mean, they had
How close is it to the book?
I mean, it's loosely based. I mean, I don't feel like book lovers didn't love, like, I think they love the series. I do think that. But then, just like you have with Bridgerton, like you have where people are like, no, they missed it. It's not what was in the book. Characters are completely different. The way they're portraying them is different than what they are in the book. You have a mixed view as far as that goes with the book and Outlanders. But they did, I mean, the book lovers for Outlanders is crazy. I mean, it's way bigger than Bridgerton. Like, they are crazy fans. So they had a lot to live up to even make this series. Like, a lot. So that was a lot of pressure for them. And, well, Ronnie's face can show you. Some people don't really believe it, it fit. the book series. You know what I mean? Like they didn't stick to all the things they probably should have. Good, Ron.
I mean, is it hard when you don't know how long a show
maybe.
may
I mean,
last?
maybe. I can see where you're saying, Phoebe.
Could they have run out of source
Like
material, or
not
maybe
knowing
like
how long you can do this
Yeah.
for.
No, the books
No.
were pretty. The books were pretty. This isn't a Game of Thrones situation where they were waiting on like enough of the books were out for them to develop the majority of the series. They just made certain choices to cut certain things.
Yes.
As I said, I didn't personally read the books, but I got involved in the fandom enough to know how splintered that fandom is. So that fandom is probably, I want to say, maybe 40% bigger than the Bridgerton one is.
oh,
And is about, but because it's an older property, it's been around for years.
Yes.
Because Tiffany, do you know how old the books are?
No. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I can look. Hold on.
Well, yeah, I don't remember when the books first came out. Diana here is saying, no, they made Jamie a different man than in the books. There's a lot of people who feel that they've changed different characteristics from a lot of the characters. There was a
in
huge...
what way though? Like
There
what
was
way is Jamie different in the books versus?
Diana, maybe you can speak on that specifically for Jamie. One of the big complaints that I remember when Katrina first got cast was the fact that she didn't look the way that Claire was described in the books.
Yep.
Because Claire is
how
supposed to
was
be Claire is supposed to be like chubby and like shorter.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
1991 is when 1991 is when the book started. The first book came out.
Yeah, so 1990. I mean, it's a 90s book series. So
Yeah.
it's been out for a minute.
that is interesting that they didn't choose to have someone representative of the book. Do you think it's?
Is it?
It's
I mean,
not
no, I
really.
mean, but like
Not really.
that's my thing though. But isn't it a commentary of like of
The
just
time.
of the time of like what people were open to seeing?
Yep.
Well, still to this day, people are not willing to see it. I mean,
This
look at
is true.
Penelope. Reality is, even when they wrote the Bridgerton books,
You mean? Sorry. Sorry, I read a comment from Diana. He was a masked man and Claire was short. I was like, Claire, was short like
Yeah.
Nicola short?
She was supposed to be tiny.
Yes.
She was supposed to be short.
yeah, very tiny.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, just like the Bridgerton books, like reality is the whole Bridgerton series when you think about it. They made Penelope in the book seem frumpy and whatever, but reality is, if you would go back in time and you really did your research, she actually would have been very desired. Like, very, very desired. She was full up top, and she was bigger, and she was more plump, you know, and back then, that meant you had status. If you were thin, that meant you were poor, and that you weren't eating. So, her in reality back then would have been considered very desirable, and they made her in the books not desirable, which
Interesting.
kind of is contradictory. And then when they made her in the show, they made her frumpy for the first 2 seasons, and still, even when they changed all that and made her, you know, what we would think is beautiful, still people didn't take it, I think, or at least I'm sorry, not people, but I feel like Justin, the showrunners, didn't take it the way they should have. Because in the books, I mean, Colin is ripping her clothes apart. I mean, he is in it. He is in it. Like, he cannot get enough of this woman. Does not care where he is at all. In his mother's living room, ripping stuff off, trying to get at her. And they barely showed anything, if you think about it. Yes, her boobs were shown. But in the first 2 seasons, how many boobies did we see?
Yeah.
We saw
I mean,
tons of
and the
boobies.
thing is, I wondered, right? Because she says that it was based off of her comfort level. So my question was always like, was it representative of what Nicola felt comfortable with, or what do you think she was more comfortable with? Well, I mean, I don't know. Like she that's all I can go is based off of what Nicola said, and she said that she did what she was comfortable with. So that's the thing that I
True.
go on. Is like, is
True. But I felt like she said in those days, like it was the most freeing she was, and she felt so
that's
liberated.
true too. That's true too.
So if you feel
No,
that free
that's
and that
enclosed.
liberated, wouldn't you want to do it again? Like, wouldn't you
Well, I mean,
want
here's the thing.
to
I think
show the
like,
world?
well, I mean, maybe here's the thing that I took from that potentially is that she and Luke felt free with the group
Yeah.
to be as they are, but like that's different than showing the world. Like,
True.
so like I think they definitely felt uncomfortable being like on the like being together and all that stuff there, because again, that was just their home for 8 months. But like,
Yeah.
you know,
And yes, Jamie is the exact same way with Claire. Like he is all over that woman. That's his girl, dude. That's his girl.
I think that for Bridgerton, particularly season 3, they had an outline and they knew how many intimacy scenes that they were going to allow, and someone high up had an opinion that it might not be the most desirable way to go from an audience perspective. And we got what we got because that's what they were allowed to do.
so you
I
don't
agree.
think it was representative of what they actually wanted represented?
I think they would have had they had the opportunity, or if it was laid out in a certain way where they would have been given more scenes that were part of the story to progress their story and showcase their story, they probably would have been okay with it. But I just think that that the storylines were organized the way that they were, and that was the film schedule, and so on and so forth. But I think that's also why we got so much more side story than we had previously.
Yeah, which I was not. I mean, I was like, give me some more pollen. But going back to Outlander, there was another statement that Miss Graham said when she was looking at her hand, and I was like, I feel like that's a nod potentially to all the spicy scenes or intimacy scenes that's coming up. But she talks about like the way she is. And maybe this also harkens back to when she talks about how sex is a bridge between her and her husband. But she's like, it's very like they won't be looking elsewhere with the way she, I guess, I don't know if satisfies or whatever. I forgot what how Miss Graham explicitly states it. Zigzag_L said, Miss Graham, who? It was the person that they were staying at this one place. I don't know if it's like an inn or whatever. And she was
the innkeeper.
The innkeeper, like she was the wife of the reverend, and she was also like part of like the group of people that were doing like the ritual dance around the stones.
Yep.
But anyways, she had she had mentioned that, and so I didn't know if that also harkened to the fact that intimacy scenes would show to some degree why she said what she said. Maybe it doesn't, but
We can't say.
But yeah. So, anyways, I don't know if there's are there any other things? Oh, wait, sorry.
I agree
sorry,
with you,
Tiffany, go
Roni,
ahead.
though, as far as I believe that it was not them that said no to anything.
Oh,
I
going
believe
back to
that it was higher
Bridgerton.
up. I 100% believe it. I mean, I don't think that they believe that people were ready, and I think that people should be ready.
Yeah, I think it took everyone by surprise at Shondaland. Maybe not Shonda herself, because I think Penelope being her favorite character, I think she just probably gave. She was probably hoping that it would be a success, but maybe I think everyone else, because Shondaland isn't just Shonda. It's not.
No.
It's a whole company. So, and it's a whole band of producers and execs and whatnot that are all up in the mix. And I feel like the majority of them were probably taken by surprise with just how popular the show actually was.
Exactly. I agree.
And the power that Nick and Luke actually held.
Yep.
So,
Let's hope that they take it seriously for next season, because
Yeah.
I mean, the fans have
Kristen
spoken
says
and
here-
people have spoken.
Oh, sorry, Tiffany. What?
Like, the fans have spoken and people have spoken. Like, we want more. We want more. We want We want what we didn't get. Let's say that, because the
Yes.
books are way more intense. I feel like.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Kristen said Nicholas says she was open to all of it that was planned once she got to that point.
Yeah, I think she would have been game.
Diana said Outlander shows a lot more female than male.
Okay, so I do want to touch on that. So here's the thing. In that time period, also, because as you say, Outlander would have been a much bigger and popular show, I feel, if Game of Thrones had not been on at HBO, because Game of Thrones came out just before Outlander did, and Game of Thrones was killing it with the numbers and views, and so Game of Thrones set a precedent with how, one, written by a man, two, written in a time frame where there's a lot of deep-rooted misogyny all over that story. The way that show was also produced, again, two men that handled everything. They didn't have enough writers in the writers' room. There were no women in the writers' room. There were hardly any women directors ever. The show was particularly violent in intimacy scenes, and it was all women who were always Nikki during Game of Thrones. Because Outlander came out, like, I want to say a few years after Game of Thrones had started, that had already been established, and that's what everyone had been gravitating towards. So the amount of times that Katrina has had to be nude, I mean, I'm glad she's comfortable, but like the amount, like everything with like Jenny that we saw just in these first two episodes, this is nothing. As we get further into the show, the only thing that we get that's different is, again, because the source material is written by a woman, there is a producer who's a woman. They have incorporated a number of women who are directors, so on and so forth. There's more of a feminine lens to Outlander, which makes it a bit softer. And I feel like a lot of the female gaze that gets incorporated, a lot of it comes through with Jamie, which I think is why why the fandom is so feral for Jamie. Because he's the balancing source at Outlander. Because consistently it's always just women. There's always just nudity of women, and then there's Jamie.
Jamie, yeah.
At that time. So I think for anyone who's watching this for the first time, and anyone again rewatching it, sure, enjoy it and look at it just purely for the beauty of it and the romance of it and everything, but also for like the background conversation that we might have on this. Think about the timing of when this was all taking place and how far we've come.
Yeah.
Because it's been a journey for the stuff that we're consuming.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Agreed.
Look at how many male booties we've seen on Bridgerton. That's a huge thing.
It's so tiny. No, just kidding. Just,
I mean,
and all we get is Jamie, but Jamie's hot, so I'll take it.
so only Jamie?
for now.
Yeah.
Oh wait, how many seasons are you in though? Or you mean for now, for like this first season?
Just for now, for this first season.
First season.
Oh, okay, because I was about to say.
Yeah.
Phoebe was
okay.
like, I'm out. If there's no other booty, I'm out.
No, but I mean, I really did appreciate like the fun thing about like doing a live about watching this and having folks join and all that stuff is that it made me pay attention more. Because if I didn't have to like discuss it, I might have missed a lot. But then I'm like picking up on things, and it was really encouraging, Ronnie, for you to tell me, yeah, like keep thinking about that, or just that's you're picking up on stuff. Because one, I think, is a testament though to the actors themselves, the way that they delivered their lines, the micro expressions, the little things that they did, that I think, it's somebody said also like this is a show of nuance and with nuance or something, and I do love that because I love nuance shows. I love so would you say that I should anticipate like character development that they get fleshed out even more so?
Significantly.
Like I mean like in like a and when I say fleshed out in like character development, like they're are they fully human? Like people aren't like caricatures, or are there caricatures of like this is just a prototypical villain, or is
No.
there?
No.
Everyone is pretty nuanced. I want to say there is a purity in certain things. Like I can't spoil it, but there is when you I think the show is really really good at balancing where if you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, they put you in a position where if you want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, do it, because the impact later will be substantially stronger.
Exactly.
In the
Yeah.
So it's just it navigates it really really well.
Yeah, I feel like they're really rounded characters, actually. They have a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that they go through, and they definitely develop over time and become better, and yeah.
Can we do one more poll?
Sure.
Just from the first 2 episodes, how many people were now convinced to want to go to Scotland?
Okay. So want to go to Scotland? Smiley face, yes. Crying face, no. Want to go to Scotland? Smiley face, yes. Crying face, no. Based off of the show, not just in general. People,
Yeah, not just in general.
watch
Based
the show
off
and they're
of the
like,
show.
yes, Scotland, just because I want to. But yeah,
That should have probably been a question of just for the newer viewers, and then for like the people who are rewatching it, how many people were inspired by the show to want to go to Scotland? But either way, we all know the answer is yes.
Well, most people probably are inspired by Jamie. They probably would think they're going to find him there.
Yeah, you're not gonna find fucking Jamie over. I can tell y'all right now. I've been.
No. It would be nice, though.
It would be nice, but they don't all look like that.
No. And Sam is such a sweet guy in real life, too. He's like such a sweetie.
He's such a dork. He's
He is,
so
and he's so
nerdy.
cute.
Like the biggest nerd.
Yes.
so wait a minute, who's married in this? Like, is he married? Is she married? Somebody's
In
married,
real
right?
life? In real life, Katrina is married.
Yes.
She has a baby.
And he is not.
He might be working on number 2. I'm not entirely sure. But when they did the first season, she was still single.
Yep, they were both
Okay.
single.
Yeah.
Or, was he in a relationship?
Sorry?
They were both single, right? First season?
Yeah, they were both single. Yeah. I mean, Sam is perpetually.
Yeah.
Now it's perpetually single?
Well, we don't really like he's been with
Or
a
is he
bunch
just
of
private?
people. He's just private, but he's been with a bunch of people. Like he dates around, and people
No.
find out.
Serial kind of dater a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I would too if I look like that.
Yeah, he's perpetually in his hot boy phase.
Oh, I
How?
would,
Wait, how? What is
100%.
his age?
Sam is 45. Can someone check
Does
that?
he still look pretty much like he did in this first season, or not really anymore?
Yes, I think so.
No, he's gotten a little weathered, but he's
A,
fine.
a little. He's still hot. I don't care what you say about him.
Diana, he's not
Oh
42.
wait!
He's not
Somebody
1 year
said
older
I
than
got excited. Well, it's in the proper age range. No, just kidding. For me.
you. Yeah,
I think he's still hot.
yeah, he's all right.
Hey, Ron, this
Ronnie's
is one we don't
unmoved.
agree on. This might be the only one we don't
Rena
agree
says
on.
he's aging like fine wine. You know who else is
Yes.
aging like fine wine? Joshua Jackson. And that will cue us up for Dawson's Creek on September 30th, which Tiffany
Ronnie, do
is
you
ready
like him?
for since she already watched the
Yeah.
first 2 episodes.
Thank God I already watched Outlander, you guys. Otherwise, I'd be lost.
Do I like?
Well, the
like
thing is,
Joshua?
even if I watched it, I would have needed a refresher if I hadn't seen it for a while.
Do I like who?
Joshua,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do like Joshua. Yeah,
you think he's hot?
I do think he's hot. Yeah.
Well, he's okay.
Here's the thing. Oh, I
I
think
like
I
it.
did see the glam bot Melissa of Joshua Jackson. Here's the thing, Tiffany. What I've always loved about Joshua Jackson, and this is maybe a little bit of a hint for like Dawson's Creek, but honestly, did Pacey always look cute, like in a conventional cute way? No.
Yes.
There were times he had like the worst haircut,
Oh, I
like
think I
like
hated it
his
though.
he just like there's one season afterwards he like I was like, are you even trying? But the reason he always remained attractive to me no matter what is just because he was Pacey. I mean, like, you know
That's the
what?
character.
Every like if you're with someone, they're not always gonna look like 100, like whatever. But like it is to you just because of the way they show up, the way they are. Like they're attractive to you. Like I mean,
I like him
he
rough
was
looking.
always attractive to me. There was never a moment, even when I could go visually speaking, if I did not fall in love with who he is as a person, I'd be like, I don't know if I would find him attractive in this particular episode or whatever. But because I'd already fallen in love with who he was,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's attractive every single time for me.
Yeah.
Even with his hair in disarray or whatever he's looking like. I just,
Can
I
I-
just,
Can I clarify one thing because it's bugging me?
okay.
The Bridgerton credits, guys. The season 1 credits differ from the season 2 from the season 3. The images that show up on the tree are relevant to each season. So that's what changes at each season of Bridgerton
Yes.
in the opening credits. The images on the tree
Yeah.
are relevant to each season.
Mm-hmm.
What Tiffany was talking about was the wind blowing to show like the different impacts of emotional turmoil only happen in season 3.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just be like it blowing, like the sun would be above it or this or
Yeah.
that. There's just
Yeah.
different things about the end of the credit
Yeah.
with the tree, if you pay attention. Kind of gives
Right.
you like a little hint. Hey,
Yeah.
this is going to be a really fun
Right. And so
episode.
the opening credits for Outlander also each season changes the imagery relevant to the story.
Yes.
Well, I will remember this. So when we talk about episodes 3 and 4 next week, I
Yeah.
will bring up the opening credits because I will watch it this time and not skip it because I totally did. Because I'm like, I don't want. Look, I'm trying to save time. No, so I skipped it, not knowing that it had a moment. Okay, Shelton said Sam also sells a whiskey called. How did they say that? And also, why did he keep calling her that? What does that mean? The
Sassenach
SAS.
means Outlander.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he
okay.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I knew that because I think somebody said that. Like I think that the Reverend or something.
Yeah.
Like the
Did he-
worst thing you could be is an Outlander or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rena, yes, you are 100% correct. The Game of Thrones credits also did that. So yeah, everyone's inspired by everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So-
like Outlander and you said Game of Thrones all happened at the same time.
There was an overlap because Game of Thrones started first.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones was first.
So, okay. So did Outlander get it from Game of Thrones?
I mean,
Did they
the
happen
credit-
at the same time? And
the
that it's
credit
like,
part, the credits is kind of it's just one of those like not a template, but it's multiple shows have done that. But there was a period where opening credits and end credits were very much simplified, and then the industry started to bring back the more complex one. I don't know if anyone used to watch the HBO show Carnival, but they also had a very complex opening credit that I think stirred the industry to be of interest because a lot of people were paying attention to that. So yeah, it's weird how it cycles like that. But so they just add the little details at the start just to have a little extra something for the fans.
Yeah, like if you're a person who likes like Easter eggs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, Easter eggs. That's a good word for it. Because for like season 3 of Bridgerton, they show the carriage. They show like Penelope's ring.
Yep.
They show like the whistle down letter that specifically spells out Colin Bridgerton.
Yep.
And so there's little things like that.
Yeah.
In the open.
And I definitely feel like Phoebe is one of those people who like would love that.
Yeah.
yeah, if I realize I'm all like skipping those things, I'm like trying to save time. But Okay. Well, is there any final words, any thoughts, any thing y'all want to share, especially for those of us that are going to be starting episodes 3 and 4? I mean, maybe
I
not.
can't remember what happens in 3 and 4, so I can't give any warnings, unfortunately. I'm actually starting to think, no, I don't want to watch ahead because I'm afraid that if we get into the conversations that I'm going to spoil stuff, but just be prepared for any sort of trigger warnings if anyone is watching this for the first time and is sensitive to certain things, because I genuinely cannot remember when stuff happens.
Yeah.
When it gets a little touchy, because again, we're in a time period where crazy stuff happened to women all the time.
And it was normal in that time
It was
period.
normal back then. So, yeah,
Well,
just a heads up.
Yeah. Sometimes I
appreciate
think people,
that.
yeah, you kind of got to remember like when the time frame
Yeah.
of a story is being written.
Yeah.
You know, because back then women weren't, they were objects. So yeah. Well, I mean, still now, but not as bad. Not as bad. God, not as bad, but yeah.
Okay, I think somebody's trying to spoil but not spoil. I don't know what it means, but we'll leave it be. Kristen said lots of interesting historical context and commentary. Shelton says the storyline has been set up pretty much, so now it flows more. Yeah, I think like that's probably a great statement, Shelton, because it is foundational. Like I would say those first two episodes were very foundational in introducing like the characters, getting a little sense of who they are, and getting a sense of like some of the people that's coming in to be part of the story.
There's still a lot of foundation that needs to be set in 3 and 4, which I think is why I jumped shipped at 4.
Yeah.
First off. So, yeah.
So that's a forewarning that no, there's more context.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very rich world, and they have to set up a lot because they not only have this beautiful romance and tension and everything, which again is what everyone always focuses on, but they're actually rooted in historical events.
Yes.
So yeah, like they try to balance that, and a lot of times it's complex. So
I think it's done great though.
yeah, it is. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because honestly, y'all hyped it up. Like y'all being every person every time when I'm like, oh, what else do y'all like to watch? And everybody's like, Outlander. And so I'm gonna be putting up this video on YouTube at some point. Not tonight. I'm gonna go visit my friend. I haven't seen him. I didn't see him at all yesterday because I was so exhausted, y'all. I was out. And so I was like, I'll go visit him right after because I actually haven't heard any really news at all about like how he's doing. So I'm hoping he's okay. But obviously he's in the hospital. So if anything had happened, they'd give us a call.
Yeah, no news is usually good news. So
yeah, that's true. That is true.
it is.
Anyways, I really appreciate all y'all making time for this. I'm looking forward to episodes 3 and 4 next week. And then on September 30, Tiffany already for like Monday, Dawson's Creek episodes 1 and 2. And the thing is like, I think the biggest thing I'm always going to pick up on is just literally how, even though a lot of the love story for Pacey and Joey happens in season 2 or 3 or something like that, like you can still feel Pacey was always there.
Yeah.
Like Joey just had to catch up, but Pacey was always there, you know, which I love. I love Pacey so much. But anyways,
When's the next Outlander one, Phoebes? Is it the 26th? Is it?
What's today? Yeah, just 19 plus 26.
Okay. So the next Outlander one is the 26th. Someone was asking.
Oh yeah,
and I won't.
So we're doing it every Thursday from 6 to 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And so, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Night.
Bye.
Thanks for letting me jump on. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to give that tidbit about the tree.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Bye.